Well, good morning, everybody, and happy May Day. Welcome to our hybrid worship service. It's so nice to see, although I can't see you at home, all you Zoom people in Zoom land, and those of you here in the sanctuary. We are so happy to have everybody here with us this morning. If you're like me, you might have memories of May Day, back when it was a spring ritual. Do you remember that? I remember maypole dances and practicing the dances and learning the songs, guarding the maypole so it wouldn't be stolen. And on May Day itself, we'd wear flowers in our hair and dress in white and have strawberries and cream. And it was just a wonderful ritual to welcome spring. And today starts a new month, which means that May has a new worship theme. The worship theme for May is Nurturing Beauty. So that's one of my memories of beauty, of welcoming spring and what May Day means to me. I know May Day has other meanings today, but that's the one that resonates with me. I need to let you know that we are recording today's service, and we will turn off the recording after the service for the community gathering. Now, if you have not turned off your cell phone yet, those of you in the sanctuary, please do that now so that we won't have any disruptions to our service. This morning we have a guest pianist. Julian Angel is a student of Karen Follingstad's. He graduated from San Diego State a few years ago, but recently finished his master's degree in Poland. So he has an affinity for Chopin, and today he's going to share with us his interpretations of Chopin. So now, as we start to enter the spirit of worship, let's calm our hearts and minds and listen to some selected preludes of Chopin by Julian Angel. Welcome, Julian. Thank you, Julian. That was lovely. Thank you so much. Welcome again to the Sunday morning worship service of Summit UU Fellowship. We are a liberal religious community bound together by shared principles drawn from world religions, humanist teachings, nature and science, philosophy, and personal practices. We are a religion of love and inclusion. We aspire to the principles and purposes that are listed in the order of service. The mission of Summit is to commit ourselves to building a more compassionate, just, and sustainable world. If you are new to Unitarian Universalism or to Summit and would like to know more about us, we invite you to go to our website, summituuf.org, click on the visitors button, fill out our online connection card, and someone will follow up with you. We want to acknowledge that our fellowship resides on unceded Kumeyaay land, and that for more than 10,000 years this land has been and continues to be home to the Kumeyaay people. We recognize the violent history of colonization in California and honor the legacy of the continuing presence of the Kumeyaay Nation. I would like to invite Joe Adan to come up and light our chalice as I share with you the words of Kimberly Ann Tomzak Carlson. Recognizing the beauty around us and within us in voice and spirit, we gather to light our chalice. May we savor the beauty of our abundance and diversity, always cherishing one another and our earth. May we remember to inhale the lushness in life, knowing that we are a people of beauty. And now let us join together and sing, while muted for those of you at home and while masked for those of you in the sanctuary, our UU hymn, both in English and Spanish, to reflect the multilingual culture of our nation, our region.
Bajo el gran sol, surja esperanza, fe, amor, verdad y belleza cantando de cada tierra, cada voz.
From all who dwell below the skies, let faith and hope with love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung through every land, by every tongue.
Please join with me in saying our UU aspiration. May love be the spirit of this fellowship. May the quest for truth be its sacrament and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. And now we turn it over to Mary, our Director of Religious Exploration, to tell us about beauty and difference is beautiful. Mary, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Welcome.
Welcome. Well, I'm in here in our RE classroom. We're all snuggled down in our chairs, ready for a story. So today I'm talking about how difference, let me make sure I'm in the camera. There we go, is beautiful. And I have a couple props to show you. I have a mirror. You guys see the mirror? A mirror can reflect my camera, reflect our TV screen. There's our mirror. I have a window. It's a window. And I have a book. See the book? Do you guys know what these have in common? What does a window, a book, and a mirror have in common? Any ideas? Any ideas? No, that seems like it might be a mystery, but there is something in common. The mirror, what does a mirror do? It reflects. It reflects us. Like here's reflecting my computer screen. Here it is reflecting you guys.
I can see my face on
You can see your face in the mirror. And what about a book? What does a book do? You can read it. Is it a reflection of somebody's story? So it's a way of learning about somebody else. This book is by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, and we're going to read this after we're done with our story for Time for All Ages. And then how about a window? You can look out, so you can see other people. You can see out. So these are all ways of seeing and experiencing the world and seeing the beauty of the world. So our theme this month is nurturing beauty. Nurturing beauty. And today we're going to reflect on how important it is to learn about, to understand, and to celebrate that we are all different and beautiful. And just like the window, the mirror, and the book, we all come in many forms, right? If we look around this room, we all look different. Does anybody look the same in this room? Yeah. Nope. I mean, Sophie and Lexi have matching uniforms on, but they don't look the same. They're in their soccer uniforms. So we all look different and explore beauty in the many forms it comes. So we're also going to celebrate that we can be different in many ways, right? Sometimes we have different ideas about things. Sometimes we have different abilities. Do you remember when I had long time ago, you were all probably pretty little, I used to have to use that knee scooter to get everywhere? No. You don't remember my knee scooter? I was scooting around on my knee scooter. That was because I needed help. My foot wasn't working. I needed help getting around. Yeah, my foot was getting better. It was hurt. It was getting better, but I needed help getting around.
I can help you.
Oh, that's wonderful. So we help each other by celebrating the different beauty that we have. So our faith reminds us that when it comes to nurturing beauty, we need to appreciate it in all of its forms. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to appreciate beauty in all of its forms, and I hope you all do as well. So thank you. That is our story for today. And I think we're getting a lot wiggly back here. So thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Mary. Okay. We do have an announcement this morning about our pledge drive. Josh Barrett would like to update us.
Morning, everybody. Going to give Tyler a second to put up our thermometer, but the news is good. We are delighted to report that as of May 1st, 2022, that we are just over 2/3 of the way to our goal. We have come this far thanks to the generosity of 66 households that belong to Summit. We still have the final third to go to reach our goal. We normally have between 110 and 130 households pledge, and this is from more than 50 to 70 households. So it is possible to still reach our goal. You can probably take that down if you want. Starting this summer, Summit's Ministerial Search Committee will be working to find our next settled minister. There are many congregations searching for ministers this summer. Thanks to the pandemic, many ministers have retired early, and so the competition will be tough. We will need to demonstrate, not just promise, that we can afford to pay a full-time minister. Currently, we have 2 ministers, Reverend Everett and Reverend Casey, who provide 70% coverage, and it's not enough. Our volunteers, most visibly the Sunday Services Committee, are picking up the slack, or Summit is in some cases just doing without. A wonderfully successful pledge drive is important for Summit's goals and our future. Every donation, whether it's $100 per year, per month, per week, every little bit helps. Your donations help to pay for the incredible staff we have, the ministries of our fellowship, which will continue to be both online and in person, for worship, religious exploration, social justice and action, just to name a few, and of course the upkeep of our facilities. Also remember that these pledges don't go into effect until July. They don't take effect immediately. So whether you are near or far, we invite you to pledge to our community, and to those members who already have given us their generous pledge, we sincerely thank you. And I'll see you next week, hopefully with more good news. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Josh. One other announcement, we do have social hour today. After the service, coffee will be served under the shade sails outside the salon. So please join us right after the service. We will have our community gathering also, but coffee will be served. I'm delighted to welcome to our pulpit today Joe Adan. Joe has been a Summit member since 2014, graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis in 1981 with a degree in physical oceanography and has an MBA from Webster University. He served in the Navy for 27 years and retired from active duty as a captain in 2008. He worked for Navy Information Warfare Center Pacific as a department head for 11 years, retiring completely in March of 2020, right as the pandemic hit. Joe and Renee had been planning to take their RV out to see the world, and the pandemic delayed them a bit, but it didn't keep them staying at home, so they headed out with the goal of visiting all the national parks and presidential libraries in the lower 48 within 10 years. Today, Joe will share his journey from being a task-oriented, perfection-driven success seeker to family-oriented national park and presidential library traveler and novice meditation practitioner. We're so glad you all have decided to join us this morning for a time of connection and reflection. I invite you to stay after the service for our community gathering where we have a chance to give feedback to the speaker or share a joy or concern with the larger group. As Josh just mentioned, we are a fellowship supported entirely by the voluntary generosity of our members and friends, and we greatly appreciate our faithful pledgers who continue to keep up their monthly contributions. If you are moved to make a contribution today, we encourage you to do so. It's now easier than ever to contribute to our virtual plate. The link can be found in the chat box, and it will take you directly to the donation location. And for those in the sanctuary, the ushers will be happy to accept your donations as they pass the baskets. And now we will gratefully accept your generous donations during the musical interlude, and Julian will be playing a Chopin Nocturne in E-flat major, Opus 9, number 2. Thank you, Julian. Our reading this morning is the words of Starhawk. I, who am the beauty of the green earth and the white moon among the stars and the mysteries of the waters, I call upon your soul to arise and come unto me. For I am the soul of nature that gives life to the universe. From me all things proceed, and unto me they must return. Let my worship be in the heart that rejoices, for behold, all acts of love and pleasure are my rituals. Let there be beauty and strength, power and compassion, honor and humility, mirth and reverence within you. And you who seek to know me, know that your seeking and yearning will avail you not unless you know the mystery. For if that which you seek you find not within yourself, you will never find it without. For behold, I have been with you from the beginning, and I am that which is attained at the end of desire. As we listen to our meditation hymn this morning, the Wanderer's Hymn, I invite you to think about the places in your life that you have sought and found beauty in nature. Mountains, deserts, oceans, forests, a national park, your own backyard. Think of the places that you have looked for beauty and found beauty, and let's enjoy the Wanderer's Hymn.
Let me not forget where I have been. May the treasures I have gazed upon always remain within. I'll hold them in my mind, so when my sunset comes I'll find that I had not forgotten where I've been. Let me stand firm as the mountains I have climbed. Make me rugged, make me gracious as I'm carved away by time. I'll be capped in silver snow long before those peaks erode. And I'll bless the many mountains I have climbed. May the placid lakes be mirrors to my soul. In their glimmer I see glances of the days yet to unfold. The reflection is my own, and I have changed, yes I have grown. And in the placid lake I see that I am home. To retrace those sacred pathways through the forest and the ferns. When the memories grow faint and my soul begins to yearn, may the wind revive the embers, let the wildfire burn. May the wilderness I've roamed take root inside. Let the terrifying beauty and the darkness all reside. And when the animal inside me cries, I'll meet the dawn with fiery eyes. For the wilderness has taken root inside. May the waters I have bathed in course through me. Let the rivers be my bloodline, flowing home toward the sea. When my final wave subsides, I will retreat into the tide. And when I've become the ocean, I'll be free.
Good morning, Summit. It's great to be here. It's great to be back in the sanctuary. I think this is our third time attending, and it's just wonderful actually to be here face to face. So for folks out in Zoom land, if you haven't been back into the sanctuary, I highly recommend it. It's just wonderful to be here. I'd like to thank Pat Brining for asking me to share my story, and I'd also like to thank Katie Boskoff for being my service associate. There's a lot of work that goes into putting a service together, and I got to see that, and I'm just so grateful that Katie was my service associate. So let me just give you these questions. Please consider them. What is beautiful? And once I determine for myself what is beautiful, how do I enable myself to find it and fully appreciate it? This is my story of moving from ignorance to knowledge and cultivating a sense of appreciation for beauty. I'm 62 years old. In my journey, it has taken me 50 years to get to a point where I now give myself the gift of time and have found the wisdom to prioritize the work that it takes to be able to find, appreciate, and nurture what I think is beautiful. And it does take work. Ask any serious gardener how much work is required to create a garden they are satisfied with. Ask any potter, and there are a few at Summit, how much work it takes to create their pieces. How about a musician attempting to play a beautiful piece of music and the work that went in? And Julian, I really appreciate your playing today. It was just, the songs have been just beautiful. Probably requiring the most work, but yielding potentially the greatest experience of beauty might be raising a child. I've had that relationship fail in the worst possible way. However, a few weeks ago, having experienced the wedding of my other child, for now, I can think of no greater beauty. My parents were born in the Philippines, and they were young teenagers during World War II. They graduated from high school, but had no follow-on education. Because of the war and afterwards, due to politics and culture, on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the people of the Philippines, and especially the area where my parents grew up, could perhaps meet their physiological needs. As for safety, love, and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization, these needs were generally impossible to meet. My relatives in the Philippines, and I've met them through visits over the years, live with a scarcity mindset. Anyone with relatives that grew up during the Great Depression can probably recognize the language and behavior of people that have this mindset. My father joined the U.S. Navy in the Philippines during the Korean War, and through his enlistment, both my parents were able to emigrate to the United States in the 50s, and they brought that scarcity mindset with them. I was born in 1959. Growing up, I had 3 older brothers. It seemed that all of us were involved in sports and were told to work hard in school and never be of trouble to anyone. To me, this meant being a people pleaser. Did I mention I'm also a middle child? I also have 3 younger brothers, no sisters. Whether raised to be or not, we were competitive. My parents gave us a few dollars for good grades through elementary and middle school. Then starting at my freshman year in high school, my parents impressed upon me with urgency the message they had told my older brothers when they started high school. A college education was up to me. My oldest brother applied to the Naval Academy, and not having the grades to get into the freshman class, was still accepted into their prep school. However, after completing 1 semester at the Naval Academy and the prep school, he decided it wasn't for him. He quit, came home, and got married. My next older brother enlisted in the Air Force. My next older brother, to me, got into the Naval Academy on his first try and graduated. I also got in on my first try and graduated. The Naval Academy trains its graduates to make the Navy a career and to seek the highest levels of leadership and responsibility one can achieve, and to meet or exceed one's potential. But what drove me from high school into and through the academy was fear. I was afraid of not being able to leave home, of not getting into college, of disappointing people. So I did everything I thought possible to get every opportunity. Not only did I play sports every season, but I also participated in student government. And outside of school, I worked various jobs. With the money I made from working, I took flying lessons and almost got my private pilot's license because I thought that being a private pilot would help me get accepted into every service academy. Well, it did, and I did. And I became a perfectionist. If I had a little bit of time and had my tasks done, I would go back and see if my end results could be improved. Kind of like cleaning off that last bit of wax on your car when you try to polish it. But while I was working hard on getting accepted into college and being a perfectionist, I missed opportunities to discover and appreciate beauty. Yosemite National Park is only a 3-hour drive away from my parents' home, but I never visited. There are many beautiful beaches within 1 hour or 2 from my parents' home, but I only went if I had a high school oceanography class assignment or if there was a party. When I did go, I never stopped to appreciate the view. I brought my fear to the Naval Academy. My old roommates still give me a hard time about how I used to sweat every test, every inspection, every physical fitness test. The Naval Academy is a place that enables perfectionists. Rooms can be inspected every day, uniforms inspected at every formation. I took pride that in my clothes closet, every piece of clothing was lined up on the shelves in neat little rows. Even my white, black, and tan socks were rolled up in a ball to show their little smiles. Everything on hangers was organized by color and length, and I don't think I ever got below a 3.9 out of 4.0 on a room inspection. And that probably graded me more than gratified me. My uniform was always immaculate, with the trouser zipper, the belt buckle, and the shirt seam all in alignment. So after graduation, I took my fear out into 27 years of active duty service and into 11 years of government civilian service. This was easy to do. Semi-annual performance appraisals, which began at the Naval Academy, continued into the fleet and into government civilian service. I was always afraid of being ranked at the bottom. You can only let this happen once as the new guy. And I wanted to make the Navy my career and meet my full potential. So I set my sights on becoming an aviation squadron commander. To achieve this, I accepted transfers wherever the Navy needed me. Unlike others, I would not fight where I was sent. As a result, I moved myself and then my growing family every 2 to 3 years to a different duty station. Each time starting at the bottom in the performance evaluations and working my way up to the top by the time I had orders to the next duty station. But I did become an aviation squadron commander. I also felt that I exceeded my potential becoming an aircraft carrier operations officer, third in the chain of command. Then I became proficient in the business side of the Navy as an acquisition program manager, creating a cadre of officers and civilian experts in this area at what was known as Spay War headquarters, and then as a government civilian as what was known as System Center Pacific at Point Loma. During that time, I had many opportunities to observe and cultivate beauty. I was present for the births of both of my children. I was at sea many times and observed some amazing things. I'll share with you this one sea story. In 1987, I spent the summer sailing with a group of midshipmen as the officer in charge of a 44-foot sailboat. We were under full sail at night, traveling north to Rhode Island and positioned a few miles off the coast of New Jersey when a layer of low, thick clouds obscured the sky. The night stars disappeared as well as the lights from the coastline. I felt uncomfortable, so I had the midshipmen reef the mainsail. Suddenly, we were buffeted by strong wind gusts, causing the boat to really heel over. Water was coming in over the gunwales, and the lifelines were buried in the water. It was a good thing we had reefed the mainsail or we might have capsized. Just as suddenly as it started, though, the winds died down, the boat pitched upright, and the seas quieted. Then for about 10 minutes, the water surface was like glass, and the seas around the boat glowed with this incredible green luminosity. It was so bright, it was like green spotlights were shining up from the deep onto our white sails. I remember placing my hand in the water and cupping bright green liquid. It was bioluminescence. Then the wind picked up, the green lights faded, and the layer of mist overhead thinned, and we could see the stars and the lights of the coastline again. It was like it had never happened. The crew and I looked at each other like we wanted to pinch ourselves back into the dream. I did recognize the beauty of that event, or else I never would have remembered it, but I never sought to experience anything like it again. It just wasn't a priority. I started to come out of my perfectionist self, to get beyond the scarcity mindset of my parents, and give myself the time to think while I was working at System Center Pacific as a government civilian. It was there that I was exposed to the writings of Stephen Covey, especially the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I was sent to executive leadership training where I learned the value of thinking time, the value of questions, not necessarily for specific answers, but for pondering. I began to schedule into my day executive time, which was an hour of thinking time that my staff could only reschedule with my permission. I also discovered, with my wife Renee's help, that it doesn't take a lot of money and material things to feel like we live in abundance. It just takes asking the right questions of ourselves and making appropriate decisions as to how we spend our money. The same applies to deciding our goals. As part of my work routine, I went to the gym every morning for stress relief. After I retired for the second time, I bought a Fitbit, right here, and found that the Veterans Administration offers free premium memberships and personal coaching. Because of the high rate of veteran suicides, the VA has significant resources to help veterans improve their thoughts and their lives. Not only is the Fitbit app and coaching helpful, but I have a mindfulness app that I use to track my daily seated meditation practice. I give myself the gift of time to use these tools, and they have benefited me greatly. I really feel I now have the time and the mental resources to do the work to seek, nurture, and appreciate beauty, to appreciate life. Habit 2 of Stephen Covey states, begin with the end in mind. I applied that to my job as a government civilian service and to preparing for my final retirement, and with Renee to our third chapter in life. This here is our business card. Got to have a business card in retirement, right? Because our business is retirement. The front shows at the top, we're both at Cowles Mountain, which is something we used to do for our birthdays. And the back shows Renee with our travel trailer and our tow vehicle, and lists our blog, which Katie mentioned. It was reading the book, The Happiness of the Pursuit by Chris Guillebeau, where I developed the idea of seeing all the national parks and presidential libraries in the lower 48 within 10 years as a quest. A quest in Guillebeau's view is a specific goal that is time-bound. 10 years is a long time, but I have found that the path we are on takes a lot of planning, a lot of work, and good physical conditioning. That said, my body isn't as capable as it used to be, and my hearing has been damaged from aircraft carrier jet noise. But I want to find and experience as much of the beauty in our public lands as I can while I'm still capable. In March 2020, when I fully retired, COVID-19 hit. Renee and I stayed at home for 2 months and then decided to hit the road to see the national parks I had planned to see. And we found in our travel trailer, we were better able to self-isolate while traveling than most people. I had reservations for national parks in California, Oregon, Washington State, and we were able to see a few, but many were closed due to COVID. After spending a month with family in Washington State, we returned south by way of Glacier National Park, Yellowstone, Grand Tetons, and Utah, where we saw all of that state's national parks. In spring of 2021, we traveled east and we saw Saguaro, Carlsbad Caverns, Guadalupe Mountains National Parks, but due to COVID, the presidential libraries of Texas were closed. We were going to go to Florida via Texas and Louisiana, but instead we cut across the Texas Panhandle and saw Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas. Then we took a day each at Memphis and Nashville, stopping at the Rock and Soul Museum and the Country Music Hall of Fame before spending a week at Great Smoky Mountains National Park. We went as far south as Atlanta, which has a great botanical garden, by the way. Then we saw Congaree National Park in South Carolina, where we were just in time to see the synchronous blinking fireflies, which only happen at Congaree and at Smoky Mountains for 2 weeks between May and June. Congaree has this wonderful boardwalk that is built high up over the area the park preserves for the fireflies to mate and lay their eggs. After a day of walking through the park, we returned in the evening, bringing our folding chairs and tables, and ate our dinner on the boardwalk as the blue sky above the trees faded into darkness. Around 9 p.m., the fireflies started their show, which went on for about 2 hours. I walked around. It was like standing inside a Christmas tree decorated with white, nearly synchronized lights, but without the wires and with all the lights in motion. It was peaceful and amazing. After Congaree, we traveled north to Shenandoah National Park and spent time with family and friends on the East Coast. We went as far east as Cape Cod, saw some sights there, and returned west by way of Ohio, and saw Cuyahoga Valley National Park, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame up in Cleveland, and the presidential libraries in that state, followed by the St. Louis Arch, where the exhibits are outstanding, and I could talk about those exhibits at community gathering time. They were just fantastic. While in Illinois, we went to the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library. We stopped at Santa Fe, New Mexico, a haven for art and artists, and we saw the Georgia O'Keeffe Gallery. Our final park in 2021 was Petrified Forest in Arizona, and nearby we stood on the corner in Winslow, Arizona, before returning home this past fall. In 2022, we're staying closer to home and will only see Redwoods and Crater Lake National Parks, which were closed to us in 2020. In 2023 and 2024, we have big trips planned and should achieve our goal by the end of that time. If it takes us longer than that, that's okay. One of my work colleagues had under his email signature for years, "Life is beautiful." And it confused me back then. Well, it doesn't now, and I agree with him. When we finally stop our national park travels, we will probably pick back up with our spring Jeep trips to Anza Borrego State Park, where we first experienced the super bloom a few years ago, which was fantastic. We'll again enjoy the sunsets at Fonts Point out there or at the beach here. And at the beach, perhaps we'll be rewarded with the sighting of the green flash as we sit on our folding chairs with wine in hand. Wouldn't that be beautiful? In closing, there are 2 quotes that I saw recently at the Beyond Van Gogh exhibit at the Del Mar Fairgrounds, which are now open until May 8th, and I highly recommend going. And these quotes are worth considering as part of May's theme of nurturing beauty. The first one is, "Find things beautiful as much as you can. Most people find too little beauty." And this was a letter from Vincent to his brother Theo in January of 1874. And the second one is, "If one truly loves nature, one finds beauty everywhere." And he wrote this when he was in England the same year. I find these quotes apply accurately to what Renee and I have experienced during our travels. I believe that now because for me, my heart is open to it. Thanks for listening.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mind, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Well, that concludes our service. Thank you so much, Joe. I look forward to a discussion period. I invite you all to stay afterwards for our community gathering. We'll have the folks in Zoom land joining us, as well as those of you here in the sanctuary. I remind you that there is coffee in the salon shade structures, if you'd like to join us there. And I invite you to come back next week, which is Mother's Day. Reverend Everett will be in the pulpit. There'll be a celebration of new member recognition and a flower communion. So come back next week. As we extinguish our chalice, I share with you the words from the Navajo Indians of North America. Beauty is before me and beauty behind me. Above me and below me hovers the beautiful. I am surrounded by it. I am immersed in it. In my youth, I am aware of it, and in old age, I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. In beauty, it is begun. In beauty, it is ended. For our closing circle song, we can sing in the sanctuary, and if you're comfortable joining hands, as long as we stay masked, we can do that. So let us now enjoy our closing circle song.
The cannonballs fly before their forever band. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing. Together, hand in hand, in fellowship we stand. Before we go, we'll share the glow of standing hand in hand. Together, hand in hand, in fellowship we stand. Through laughter, tears, through